Depression is something that millions of people deal with on a day-to-day basis. Without proper medication or therapy, there's close to nothing that people can do to help with their depression. We as a society need to start taking depression more seriously. Depression is a very serious subject, and many people's lives can be put at risk due to depression. 6% of all adults struggle with depression, and 10% of adults from the age 18 to 24 struggle with depression. Depression is a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities, causing significant impairment in daily life. There are different forms of depression, such as seasonal affective disorder, bipolar disorder, psychotic disorder, persistent depressive disorder, catatonic depression, and atypical depression. Season affective disorder is when depression happens on a certain season of each year. Bipolar disorder is when an individual has drastic mood swings from highs and lows, and their lows are very depressive and they have manic highs. Psychotic depression is a disconnect from society as a whole. Persistent depressive disorder is the mild, long-term depression that I think a lot of people struggle with. Catatonic depression is a form of depression that makes it hard to move and do anything. And atypical depression is basically just a category that they put other people in that have a depression, but there isn't really, out of the first 5 I listed, it doesn't fall into those categories. There are many steps to getting away from depression, but the first and most important one, in my opinion, is the first step is talking to a doctor or a therapist and figuring out what steps you need to take to help yourself and help your depression. And those things that might help you are going to be medication, breathing exercises, or ways to calm yourself down, and surrounding yourself by good people and happy things. In the world, depression is the leading cause of suicide. It is said that 90% of people who commit suicide have some sort of mental illness. If someone has a loved one that struggles with depression, there are certain things you look at that could be a hint towards suicide. And there's some obvious and some not so obvious. Some that I found that I think are pretty obvious is self-harm. So if you see someone hurting themselves on purpose, that's a sign. Talking about feeling empty, hopelessness, and not having a way out of problems, that's another sign that a lot of people struggle with. And it can be a little bit obvious. That's why I put that in the obvious category. And being guilty or shameful is another obvious sign. Talking about not having a reason to live is a very clear sign, and that should be taken very seriously. Another one is isolation, so that could just be sitting in your room all day, or not wanting to go out with your friends, not wanting to talk to your family. And the last one that I thought was obvious is if someone's just giving away their personal items or wrapping up loose ends, throwing away relationships, that's a clear sign that they are struggling. And some not so obvious signs that I found on the internet are changes in sleeping patterns, not being able to fall asleep or sleeping all day. That can be a clear sign of someone struggling. Gathering of lethal things such as weapons, strong drugs, poisons, other things like that that are capable of taking a life. Someone in bad physical pain every day. And someone that is untimely angered. So if a small thing happens and that person's very angry, that would be a sign that not many would think. And untimely calmness. So during an actual high stress situation, someone being very calm would be a sign. Knowing that depression causes 90% of suicides, we should all see that depression is something that needs to be taken more seriously. If everyone in the world works together to help, we would save a lot of lives.